So I'm back here. It's me, Bro Raman, again back for Mahadzu Academia for CIFAC. As usual, I'm here at FAN EXPO Vancouver once again for the last and final day. And I got here early this morning, and I'm lucky because I had a chance to catch Richard Fairgray. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And thank you for accepting this interview.
Yeah, of course. Look, as long as I have my coffee, I can talk,
So go ahead. Tell us, who is Richard Fairgray?
I am a comic creator and a drawer of dicks. I have been publishing comics for 33 years, and I do grown-up books for Dirtbags, gays, and ladies. And then as of 10 months ago, I was at a party, a FAN EXPO after party, and my friend Aaron Reynolds yelled loudly, "Richard's really good at drawing dicks." And now it is 40% of my income.
It works.
Yep.
I mean, I've covered extensively a lot of eroges and like smut type of content. And my sponsor actually makes like erotic games.
Oh shit!
Yeah, he's a developer based in Quebec. So it's something that I think we should not be ashamed of. It's a totally honest way to make a living.
Here's the thing. My goal is I want people to have dick pics they can be proud of for a change. So I draw dicks with love. I've done 28 years of very intensive research, thousands and thousands of subjects, and I'm finally able to filter this into something where now, as my accountant has recently informed me, I can claim poppers, lube, and sex club memberships as business expenses.
That is, oh boy, dirtbags, gays,
and ladies. Yep.
Explain what's the concept?
Well, so until about 3 years ago, I worked almost exclusively in children's books. And
this is so ironic.
I've got look, if you have a 3-year-old, go and buy one of my picture books for them. They're great. There's 11 of them out there. But I had been working on this memoir at the beginning of COVID. I was in LA, my husband was in Vancouver, and the borders were closed. So I was like, I'm lonely and scared of dying. What a good time to get massively introspective. And I finished the first 3 chapters, and my agent saw it, and she was like, Richard, if you ever show this to anyone, your career is over. So I thought, perfect. I can make my masterpiece, put it in a drawer. They'll find it when I'm dead. And I did that. And then 3 years ago, my best friend passed away, and he was like a million years old, so it wasn't like a big surprise or anything, but he was a wonderful person and a real, just absolute skeezy dirtbag. We met through the silverdaddies.com chat rooms, had a lot of weird webcam sex, and then became friends later. And I put him in this book. And he was really excited because I'd never put him in any of my other books for obvious reasons. And so I just felt like absolute dog shit that he never got to see it. So I said, screw it all, and I launched this new imprint called Richard Sucks. And put the book out, and my career is fine. I have 47 new books since then. My agent is fired, obviously. And it's all just been it's a lot more enjoyable because I never have to think. I never have to worry, am I going to say the wrong thing when I'm publicizing a kid's book if there's my adult content next to it? I can just relax and be like, hi, I put out a memoir about me running headfirst into a lot of bad decisions in sex clubs. Yes, I do get fucked by a 70-year-old trapeze artist in this one, and it is why I was late to New York Comic Con that year.
It sounds like you went through quite a bit to get to where you are today. I mean, in your general life.
Oh, yeah.
But how is it to be an artist in that specific niche, if we can call it that?
It's one of these things where I see a lot of articles floating around that are the reality of being a writer and the true hardships of being an artist, blah, 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 how it's impossible to make a living and how everyone has other whatever's going on. And I think those are incredibly valid articles, and it's great to be honest with people about exactly where your money comes from and all of that sort of stuff. But I also kind of think, if I had seen one of those articles when I was 15 years old, would I have just looked at it and been like, well, I guess you can't make money in this thing, so I won't do it. I wonder how many people see that and go, if it's not an option financially, I can't do it. And I'm lucky. I started publishing when I was 7, and I started making money from it, and not real money, but kid money. And then by the time I got to the end of college, I was making a decent living from comic books by doing 6 conventions a year. And there have been moments where I've had more money, moments where I've had less money. But it's always been, I've never let it be the thing that drives it. It always has to be a true level of obsession. I talk about this feeling of having too much blood a lot. You have an idea so good that you feel like you're going to physically explode. And then you can work for 30 hours straight and not notice. I signed a deal about 8 years ago now, I guess, and I forgot to read the contract. I literally was like, I thought I had read it because I'd read a different contract the same day, so I just signed this one. And I didn't notice the specific time frames on things. I thought I was doing a 64-page book in 4 months. Turns out I was doing a 192-page book made up of three 64-page stories, and I also only had 2.5 months. And so I just bulk ordered a bunch of water and frozen meals and these adult premium body wipes that they use in hospitals for cleaning people. And I moved into my office full time, and I just worked round the clock getting this thing done. And like the adult premium body wipes were from this like discount website. They were definitely not legit, and I do have a chemical burn from them. But like, you know, I got to live in this, and I got to live with my fictional characters in like the world's longest slumber party. And I describe this to people, and if they look horrified by it, I'm like, you can't be a writer, you know, because it's not all bad. It's not all messy like that, but it's that when it is that messy, if your first thought isn't this is absolutely worth it for the thing that nobody asked me to do, then you can't do it. That's it.
Well, when talking about the crunch, you mentioned living in your office full time
Mhm.
for a contract that you misunderstood.
Yeah.
Uh, let's backpedal for a second. Go back to that when you started publishing when you were 7 years old.
Yeah.
How did that get? How did that happen?
Well, so I grew up in New Zealand, and there were 4 comic stores in the entire country. So as a kid, I knew about comics because like Bart Simpson read comics and Michelangelo read comics, but I thought they were like a thing that used to exist that didn't anymore in the real world because like I'd just never seen one. And so I thought, if I make a comic, I'll be the only person in the entire world doing it, and I will become a millionaire instantly. And it all worked out, and it was very easy. No, so I wrote this little comic about a ghost who struggles with invisibility and loneliness and a sense of alienation from society and blah blah blah, and little 8-page thing. And I went to my school librarian, and I was running a little blackmail scheme at the time involving some VHS tapes that I'd swapped out for porn, and got free photocopying from the library. So I made 200 copies of this thing, took it to a big like multi-school athletics day that I was not competing in, and I just sat there next to the drinks tent with a sign saying like I made this comic myself or some I don't know what the exact words were, but something sort of embarrassingly bad like that. I sold all of them. I bought like all the Zords from Power Rangers, all of them, and I was like, this is sick as hell. I'm going to do this forever. And so I just kept putting out books and kind of like following the same pattern over and over again. And then, yeah, like by the time I finished high school, I had 40 or 50 like little mini comics to my name. And I started like going to conventions, and I was friends with some people at a comic store. So they said, you can perch up at our table and sell your stuff here. And then a couple of years on from that, I had a full booth. And 10 years later, I had a giant booth. And then I panicked because I thought I couldn't do anything else by the time I was 30. So I sold everything I owned and moved from New Zealand to America with 4 days warning. And on and on and on. You know, it's life is finite. You just can't stop, right?
You're like the textbook definition of we need a 17-year-old with 10 years of experience.
See, I thought you were going to say that was the technical definition of failing sideways.
No, I mean you because you didn't. You're probably in terms of as far as careers go, you're probably the most someone who's never really had to worry about like, oh, can I make this a career in the future, because you got started so early that you had a portfolio built by the time you finished high school, like you mentioned.
I always say to people, like, I've never had another job. Technically, I've had 2 other jobs. I painted murals for a honey factory one summer, but kind of got asked to leave because me and one of the beekeepers broke the honey machine and filled an entire room with honey. And then I worked for 4 days as a substitute teacher before thinking this is a terrible, terrible job. I was trying to edit a film that I'd made at the time. So I was working as a substitute teacher. And then on my 4th day, I got a call from someone saying they wanted me to come to Australia to have some meetings with some VPs at Fox about my dinosaur comic. And I got my sheet saying which classes I'd be in charge of that day. And it said gym and woodwork. And I just said, absolutely no, thank you. I'm not going to hit with balls and losing a finger. And so I left. And that was the last time I ever did anything that wasn't comics.
It's interesting because a lot of other comic artists, like, they certainly have not had, like, you certainly have a very exceptional path to where you got to today.
Thank you.
And I mean, it's just a statement of fact, right? Like, how many people get started so young, have built such a portfolio, and this was something before the era today when it's even harder to break into into
Yeah.
this world.
Well, that's because, like, when I was doing it, like, you know who knew about my little ghost comic, which probably was quite bad? Parents at my school and the surrounding schools. And you know who saw my comics at conventions when I was a teenager? Like, local people who would probably not remember my name. And that's wonderful. You can't fail privately anymore. You know, like it used to be a thing in music where people would go to a different city and like play club nights every night for like years to get good at their craft. Now you're expected to be good right away on social media, and as soon as you do something poorly, it's spread everywhere as look how embarrassing this person is. You're expected to be like at your peak right out of the gate, and that's just not realistic.
On that, a bit of maybe a spicier question to like sort of end the interview is, how do you feel about the direction actually where the a lot of art is going? One of the critique that people have is that because of social media and because of those incentives of trying to avoid failing as much as possible, people are trying to are afraid to try new things and
Yeah.
just keep copying what works from their predecessors.
Yeah. I think art is becoming incredibly safe. I think that digital art, like I'm not shitting on digital drawing or painting, whatever. I'm saying that if you learn digitally, your brain is taught that you can forever undo things. And I think if you always have the option to undo, you never learn how to adapt to mistakes, and then you end up with something that looks technically correct but pretty dull. And I think that is a much bigger problem. I think that ambitious failure is fundamentally more interesting than mediocre success. So it is better to go all in on something and fail spectacularly than put out something that is just good enough for people to go, yeah, I don't really care about that, but I guess I'll pay a small amount of money for it for a while.
What do you think the future of comics is with the way things are going right now?
Um, I think I think we're in a weird bubble moment right now where everyone's terrified of AI in the same way that everyone's terrified of NFTs and everyone's terrified. Like I think that my the money that people are giving me to make things right now is higher than it was 2 years ago because people can see that it is handmade. We need to lean into making things ourselves and showing that we are making things ourselves. Fetishize the idea of humanity, and we'll get through this. Um, I think that like the entire world is becoming more pure. Well, the entire world, North America, is becoming far more puritanical right now, and we just have to ride that out. For someone like me who is, you know, a sloppy mess, that's a little bit terrifying, a little bit daunting. But the truth is, you know, if you are censoring yourself on the internet from saying swear words for an algorithm, like you're an adult. Stop acting like you're a 9-year old talking in front of your grandparents.
Certainly, I mean, I think that as far as I'm concerned, as someone who works in media,
Mm.
it's something that I sympathize and I totally agree with, because I think it's something that is affecting, because I have a broader perspective, is
Yeah.
affecting a lot of different fields
Yeah.
in the arts and even in other fields. So I cannot but agree with this sort of call against self censorship, because I think that's the biggest danger. It's not like someone all powerful coming to tell you to do it. It's just you out of fear
Mm.
of what could happen to you.
And it's out of
Will
fear
do
of
it.
not being popular enough, and that's a very sad thing to be afraid of. And like, look, obviously, I've said a bunch of swears on this thing, and you're probably going to have to bleep them. That's fine, bleep them.
Nah, I won't, because
Well, like, but you know, whatever the rules are that you have to follow,
Mm.
follow them. But like, if you are saying the word unalive out loud, you're doing life wrong.
Yeah, a lot of these terms, I mean, they really like sort of. I'm like, why is this even a thing?
It's because it's because like it's because we are living in a system that is largely controlled by computers that don't have a person behind them that are censoring us for comments we make on Facebook. And it doesn't feel good to know we're being made invisible. But you know what you should embrace? Being invisible. It was great. It was pre-social media. Everything was much, much nicer.
Yeah, definitely gives me, whenever I hear unalive or other terms like that, it makes me think of Newspeak from
Yeah.
1984.
Yes, exactly. And we shouldn't be like, don't comply in advance, people.
Well, thank you very much,
Yeah,
Richard.
this was
And
great.
maybe to end the interview, you can tell us some of your seminal work so people can go and check them out.
Yeah, if you look up my memoir Octopus, a memoir of flailing, um, my kids series Black Sand Beach is still available on Amazon. Although it did end on a massive cliffhanger, and that's never coming back. Dicks by Richard on Blue Sky is where you can see fresh dick drawings every day. And kickrichard.com to find whatever I'm kickstarting currently, because I put out about 20 books a year because sleep is for cowards.
Well, I think that's a good way to end the interview. Thank you very much, Richard.
Thank you.
And I hope that you have a wait. Did you fly in?
No.
Are you local?
I have I'm semi-local. I have a place in LA and a place here, and I just jump back and forth.
Wow. Well then, good luck on your way back.
Thank you.